We have the ability to rewire our brains. About 80% of the brain gets wired by age 3, and about 90% of the brain gets wired by age 5. Attachment style gets wired right into our brains.
These events happen before we even remember them.
That cycle plays out tens of times every single day during those first 3 years of life. As that cycle plays out, a pattern is developed. That pattern creates attachment style into our brains.
These are things that happen subconsciously.
Until you're aware of it, it's under the surface, puppeteering what we do. When there's a disorganizing event, it activates the attachment system. Healthy is, and it's unhealthy when we don't do that.
Dr. Denim, thank you for joining us. Last night, you spent like 2 or 3 hours with us teaching us basically how our brains work. And I didn't go to sleep for a while because of that. And
I dreamt about
Marley
it.
dreamt about it. And we basically reconvened in the morning. We're like, whoa, that just like pulled us out of the matrix. Is amazing.
It gave language to, okay, so we wanted to have you explain on the podcast about, I mean, you have so many things that you could teach us about, but attachment styles. It's something that we've become more familiar with in the last couple years, but the way that you explained it and how it works in the brain, the attachment systems and disorganizing events, and how people can recognize what they are, was like, it's given me a whole new language. It helps me understand who I am, who other people that I interact with.
Yeah. Do you mind telling everyone kind of what you do, your background? I mean, you've been studying this for a long time and are not just in the theory of it, in actual practice.
Yeah. I mean, I've been mildly obsessed with attachment theory for about almost 30 years now. One of my professors when I was working on my doctorate at Ohio State was one of the leading experts in the field of attachment at that time. And it's so important to understand. And attachment style, which we'll talk about here in just a second, is literally in the background, behind the scenes, puppeteering so much of what we do in our close or intimate relationships. And so understanding it is super important. I was a marriage family therapist for over 20 years before moving into coaching a few years ago. And I have I own a TMS clinic in St. George, Utah, which is special treatment for treatment-resistant depression. And then I have a coaching business. I have 5 coaches that I've trained and certified that help carry out my Core Connections program that's built on 7 healthy and happy principles that are imperative in order for our lives and relationships to go well. Built on the kind of the foundation of attachment theory and my temperament, my personality profiling system called Core. There are lots and lots of things that are really nice to have going well in your life and relationships. But there are some things that if they're not going well, your life and your relationships are not going to go well. And those core principles, 7 of them are what I try really hard to help people learn and be able to implement in their lives.
Well, it's powerful even last night as you were saying this, so that like you have to have these 4 just to live like a peaceful life. But if you want like a happy life, you need the other 3. But the things that you brought out, and I want to go through them for sure. I want to hear the 7, definitely want to hear the attachment styles as well. But it was interesting because as you were talking, all right, before 2020, I was just crushing in business. You know what I mean? Just like cranking. And then basically as you started laying out the attachment chart, which I definitely want to be able to show and we'll pull up, but I was like, I could plot every single thing. I was following you. I was like, that's what happened. Holy cow. That's what happened. That's where the tenacity left. Right. And I had to get back to a organized state. So
yes.
Do you want kind of, maybe we don't dive straight into it in a moment. How did you find this?
Attachment theory has been around for decades now. John Bowlby, Mary Ainsworth are kind of the I guess the father and mother of attachment theory, and it comes out of this it helps us with an understanding of how really with parenting. It came out of studying parent-child relationships. Attachment style gets wired right into our brains by age 3, and so understanding what happens during those very important first years of life. We were talking about last night when an infant is born, she or he has billions of neurons. There's no point in life where we have more neurons than when we're born. And there are very few neural pathways connecting those neurons together. And which is why an infant can't move, can't even raise their hand, or, the only intentional, right? The only intentional movement an infant can do is when they're first born is to move their eyes. And these pathways get wired together by the billions. And how our brains get wired is a co-creative process that occurs between an infant and his caregivers. And so and 80% of the brain, about 80% of the brain gets wired by age 3.
Wow.
And about 90% of the brain gets wired by age 5. And so, and we don't have any conscious memory before age 3.
Yeah, you asked me what was my first memory. I was like, chickenpox when I was 3. But other than that, I have no idea what happened.
Right. What's your earliest memory?
Yeah, I'm probably about 2 or 3 years old, and I remember living in Chicago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And most of our earliest memories are somewhere around 3 or 4. And so before we even have any conscious memory, 80% of our brains are wired. And so we're not even aware that the way that we perceive relationships and reality is subjective. It's just the way we've always been. And so attachment style is malleable. It's changeable. But most people never do because they don't understand it. And they don't understand how it's behind the scenes puppeteering what we do, how we manage and interact with the important intimate relationships in our lives.
And so you brought us through this chart that for anyone watching the video version of this, we'll put on the screen. And for anyone watching the audio, we'll still be able to explain through it. But
we'll try.
There's this, there's like a pathway that someone can go through, let's say for these purposes, like a child. And it starts with this, you called it the disorganizing event, the emotional thing that happens. And it can be a negative or a positive event that then allows them to turn
You're doing great.
Thank you. Turn to the attachment figure.
Okay, can I back up just a smidge there? So attachment theory is a theory of human development that seeks to explain how the closer intimate relationships in our lives function. And there is literally a system in the brain, the attachment system, whose job is to monitor and manage connection. It's a rule book or a blueprint that dictates how we respond very predictably, how we respond during really important moments in our lives that are called attachment moments. And the primary tenet of attachment theory is what's called a secure base. And a secure base is 2 really important things. It's a safe haven. It's a safe haven to go to, and it's a solid foundation to launch from. Huh. And so when we're in need, a secure base is this feeling. It's a relationship that I've got your back. You're there for me. It's a soft place to land when I'm in need, when I'm disorganized emotionally. And it's also a launch pad. By providing us a solid foundation, it's a springboard into development through exploration. And I start there because our goal in life, even more than a goal, we as human beings are naturally propelled toward development. And that's the purpose of life is to grow and to progress. And most of us spend most of our adult lives trying to avoid that. But we come into life on this fast track of development, and then as soon as we have control, we try to slow it down as much as we can. But we, as human beings, we develop through exploration, and this is most easily seen with toddlers because it's through the physical exploration of their environments that they develop. They're climbing on things and they're putting things in their mouths and they're bumping on things, and this feels different than this feels or whatever. And it's through this physical exploration of the environment that they develop. As we age, that development becomes increasingly cognitive. And in adulthood, most of our development occurs as we explore ideas and theories and beliefs. But it's still through exploration that we're able to develop. And we develop best when we're organized emotionally.
Meaning safe and backed.
Yes. Yep. When we're in our windows of tolerance, when we're settled and calm emotionally, then we're able to utilize our resources to think about other things. To use, we talked a little bit yesterday, we're able to have 100% of our resources be devoted to whatever we're doing, 100% of whatever we're doing.
But if some of your resources are on, how do I just survive and maintain my status or safety, then it's like you were saying, you're putting 60% of your resources to something that requires 100%, so you can't fully be there.
Can't explore.
Yeah.
Exactly. We, every human being has two fundamental needs, and those needs are a sense of worth, mattering, and a sense of love and belonging. Non-negotiable. Lots of people try to not have those needs matter, try to kind of hermit away into holes, but you can't get rid of them. As humans, we have these two fundamental needs constantly through the lifespan, and our brains assess that first one as, do I matter to the people that I'm supposed to matter to? Am I relevant? Am I significant? Am I valued? Am I acknowledged? And the sense of love and belonging, our brains assess as, am I safe? Am I emotionally safe with the people that I'm supposed to be emotionally safe with? And when those needs are being met, we're organized emotionally, and we don't even pay attention to those needs. We're just living our lives, and we're exploring, and we're playing, and you can see this with dogs. I mean, you go to a park. This morning, I went and just parked by a park and was drinking my breakfast, my smoothie, and you just watch dogs, and they'll like go and they'll explore and then they'll come back and just kind of check in with their their person, get reorganized, and then they'll go back out again, and they'll do that. And we as humans do the same thing. But when we become disorganized emotionally, when those needs aren't being met, our brains will do something to try to get those needs met.
Positive or negative.
Positive or negative. And so then that consumes a certain amount of my resources. And so if, 30% of my resources are just trying to be okay, just trying to kind of feel settled emotionally, then that only leaves 70% of my resources to deal with 100% of my life.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you bring this up, because I see this a lot it's in every phase of entrepreneurship, but especially at the beginning, where I think someone it's a brand new exploration, right? They're coming into a brand new world, and I'll teach them a model. Hey, this model typically gets you from point A to point B, but that's never why they have a hard time with it. It's always this like, I'm realizing now, it's like, am I safe? Am I backed? Am I safe? Am I backed? 30% is me just trying to feel safe. This requires 100% of my resources.
Right.
Though. And I can see now all goals require this backing.
Totally. And we work so much better when we have access to our full capacity, right?
And so the attachment styles that we can kind of put on the table there is secure attachment style, which I was like, you mean there are people walking around that they're just totally fine?
And you said it's like half of people.
What was their childhood like?
Who are these people?
I'm really curious to know. Well, and actually we'll go through that chart. And then there is anxious attachment style, and there is avoidant attachment style. And then there's also anxious avoidant. They're a mixed bag of both. So,
which is what I am. Everyone's looking at me. Apparently it's 2% of us.
Yeah.
You're a rare thing.
Flexing as a 1%er over here is an anxious avoidant attachment style, which actually explains so much of the last 6 years of my life. Like, oh yeah, okay. I just didn't know. And these are programs that just run in the back and pre-frame everything.
Yes.
With this
filter everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can I fill in a little bit more?
Yeah. Let's dive in. Yeah.
So the attachment system is this rule book that, and that's what attachment style is. It's this rule book that dictates when the attachment system gets activated, how do we respond? What do we do? And secure people, people with a secure rule book respond very differently than people with an avoidant rule book, and very differently than people with an anxious rule book. And so there are two things that turn on or activate that system in our brains. Just like, we all, or at least most people are familiar with the fight, flight, freeze, right? That's a system in the brain that is designed to keep us safe, right? When the brain perceives a threat, the amygdala takes over and will either use fight, flight, or freeze to try to cope with whatever's going on. Like that, when one of these two things happen and the attachment system gets activated, it goes into action. Otherwise, it's not dictating what we're doing all the time. It is dictating what we do when we feel disorganized emotionally. And that can be starting a new business. That can be, turning on a camera. That can be getting on a stage. That can be parenting. I mean, happens all the time. So the two things that activate it are first one is anytime we experience an abnormally intense feeling. And it doesn't matter whether it's a positive feeling or a negative feeling. Most of us have a range of emotion that we function in. And when we experience something that's outside of that, it'll turn on this attachment system. So if I'm scared or hurt or sad, one of your girls last night was hurting. Her ear was hurting. And what'd she do?
She came to me.
She came to you, right? And that's exactly how the attachment system works. And maybe we'll use that as we kind of go through this as an example. Because that's what happens. So if you're embarrassed or you're lonely or whatever, or on the positive side, if you just had a really cool experience or you're super happy or had a cool dream last night or a cool spiritual experience or you're turned on sexually, anytime we experience an intense feeling, it turns on that attachment system. Every sexual encounter is an attachment moment. Same kind of process plays out, which we could do a whole episode on that.
That's a whole other topic.
Wow.
The other thing that turns it on, and which is why I wanted to start with secure base, is the other thing that activates that is anytime there's a perceived or actual threat toward or in my access to my attachment figure or my sensitivity from them. Because what establishes and maintains a secure base, remember what a secure base is?
Secure base is knowing that the person that they need the attachment from is going to give them an emotionally sensitive and available response.
Yes, exactly. Really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
it's like from a textbook as well.
that's how it's established. What is a secure base? It's a safe place to go.
Safety and a place to launch from.
Yes. It is a safe haven and a launch pad. That's what a secure base is. Lots of times a secure base will just function as a safe haven and you can come and I'll catch you, but then we don't turn and help develop, right? And sometimes we don't catch. We just want to be a springboard and not let so a secure base has to be both of those things.
Yeah, it's interesting when you say that because I just got it like any of the communities that I've tried to develop or things like that, you need both of those.
You do.
Think about how powerful that is in just community development. That's powerful.
Totally. It's got to be a safe place to come and get reorganized.
It's not just a place to go get the thing done.
Right.
Interesting.
Right. And it can't just be a place to just come kumbaya either.
Sure.
It's got to help us also be able to develop and launch into development. A secure base is established and maintained by the two things that you said. First and foremost is access. When I need you, do I have access to you? You put down your phone, turn off the TV, whatever else you might be doing. Do you make room for me when I'm in need? And again, you were a good example last night. We're sitting there eating dinner and your daughter was in need and you kind of figuratively stepped out of the conversation that we were having and gave her your attention. Totally appropriate. Super healthy.
Good job, Dad.
Yeah, super healthy, right?
No, I felt
she had access to you in her moment of need. That's the first and most important thing when it comes to establishing and maintaining a secure base. And then the second thing is sensitivity. Not only do I have access to you, but I also receive a sensitive response from you.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes people can get it wrong, or it can be perceived incorrectly. Like, let's say a child comes and you're in the middle of something, you're like, hey, I can't right now. And that can set off the inappropriate response.
It activates,
they didn't get the sensitive reaction, which can then perpetuate the disorganized state.
Yeah, well, yeah. What it does is it leaves that little brain in that example in a place where they have to figure out how to try to get reorganized themselves. Mm-hmm. So those are the two things that turn on that system in the brain. When that system gets turned on, the code that's written in all of our brains activates.
Runs.
So that's what happens when that gets turned on. When that button gets pushed, the code goes. And so when there's a disorganizing event, it activates the attachment system. And healthy at that point is vulnerably turning to the attachment figure. Every single one of us comes into life with a very simple code that works super well until it gets messed up. Mm-hmm. And that code is, I get disorganized, the attachment system gets turned on, I vulnerably turn toward the attachment figure. So that's a really important crossroads right there. Healthy is vulnerably turning. Unhealthy is not. What we are supposed to do when we get disorganized emotionally is turn toward our people. Seek out the attachment figure, the would-be secure base. And it's unhealthy when we don't do that.
That's so powerful, though, because holy cow.
We talked about yesterday, like, okay, let's say a child is upset about something. What do they do? Where do they go? And you said...
I knew there was the wrong answer, but inward.
Yes.
And
Which is not what you're supposed to do. You said mommy. I was like, yeah.
Well, and those are, yes, healthy and unhealthy, right?
Yep.
After we turn, then there's another really crucial crossroads. Healthy is receiving a sensitive and available response. I'm in need. I've turned to you, and you give me access, and you're sensitive to me. Unhealthy is when I turn to you, you're either unavailable or you're insensitive, right? And so I've tried. I'm turning. I'm trying to get the help I need, and I'm not getting it. In the healthy case, when I turn and I have access to you and a sensitive response from you, I get reorganized emotionally. I return to exploration and thus development. And the attachment system has done its job.
And it stays secure.
It stays secure. It's simple. That is what is supposed to happen. The attachment system's function, its job, is to take us from a disorganized state back to a reorganized state.
Emotionally.
Yes.
Through, I'm in need, I'm turning, did I get the response I needed? Now I'm safe, now
exactly.
I'm back and organized.
Yeah, simple, right?
Any point of those
can get
breakable.
And so many of these events happen before age 3, before we even remember them, but they've wired us.
So that happens tens of, again, think about an infant, and a toddler. That cycle plays out tens of times every single day during those first 3 years of life.
Yeah.
And as that cycle plays out hundreds and thousands of times, a pattern is developed. A pattern of what? A pattern of sensitivity and availability. And that pattern is what creates the blueprint of attachment style into our brains. Literally writes the code or alters the code that was originally written in there. And then that becomes the blueprint that says, okay, back to our core needs, the essence of what attachment style is what do I believe about those two core needs? When I'm in need, do I expect the people that should be there, do I expect to matter to the important people in my life? And do I expect them to be sensitive and available to me? That's the essence. If you just whittle it all down, that's the belief system. And a secure rule book, a secure brain believes that they do matter. They're going to matter, and they expect people to show up for them. They expect access and sensitivity. So secure people throughout their lives enter relationships easily. They open up easily. They're vulnerable. And they expect a sensitive and available response. So then when they don't get it, they're surprised. You're like, you're breaking the rules. What do you mean I don't have access to you?
Why are you acting like that? It's so different than my program.
Right. And so healthy people, secure people will not stay in an unhealthy relationship for very long.
I wish I knew that.
You do.
Yeah, now I do. I mean, I wish I did know that because
powerful.
I don't think I've said this yet, but like I have been. Can I change? I was very much anxious attachment, and I can see where there's areas that I am, and can I completely stop being anxious attachment at some point?
Yes.
Yes.
The really cool thing.
Tell me.
Yeah, I was not sitting here.
Give me the checklist.
I'm a 2%er. I'm not loving that.
Yeah. You want to be on the other end.
Yeah, it's funny because last night, even after you left, I was like, it was like very exposing raw. I was like, wow, I can now paint back all my habits, everything that I do, the way I show up or don't, like back to anxious avoidant. And what blew my mind also was to go, okay, if this is attachment style with others, this is probably also attachment style with self.
Yes.
Whoa. So then I'm anxious avoidant in discovering
yes.
me. And that's what I was like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
And the attachment styles can also spill over into how you are attached to your work, how you're attached to money. Like I could have an anxious attachment style to money.
The spillover is nuts.
Well, and in some interesting ways, because again, those needs cannot be ignored. They can't be unless you have some sort of intellectual disability or brain injury that alters that. They can't be ignored. And so if this system isn't working the way that it's supposed to work, and if your needs aren't being met in healthy ways, then you start trying to get them met in unhealthy ways.
Coping mechanisms.
Right. And a lot of that is where you see people trying to perform their way into mattering, to earn their way into being safe.
Right. Which is why sometimes if people had a marriage that wasn't serving them, they threw themselves into work to find the external validation from their business.
I totally did that.
We can relate to.
Yeah.
Totally. And it can be work. It can be community. It can be church. It can be all kinds of things trying to matter when you don't feel like you're mattering where you should.
Because mattering where you should, you said there's like a primary stable base, like if you're not getting it from your spouse, you look for another place, but it should be from your spouse. Really or when you're a child, it should be from your parents. You can't just go try looking for it in another person.
Yeah, so there are only 3 relationships that can fully function as a secure base. And this is a really good and important point. And those relationships are parent, spouse, and God. And the reason why those are the only 3 relationships that can fully function as a secure base is because those are the only places where we have a healthy expectation of being number one. We call it primacy. It is totally healthy for a child to expect to have access to their parent and to expect to have a sensitive response. That's not like, oh, you're doing me such a favor by giving me access to you. No, you brought me into this world. I get to matter to you. That's a healthy expectation. So in childhood, the primary attachment relationship develops between an infant and her or his mother. Some interesting research, even when dads are the primary caregiver, the primary attachment relationship still develops between an infant and mom. And then we develop an attachment relationship with dad. And then as we age and we get into adolescence, we begin to develop attachment relationships with whoever we're dating and in adulthood, the primary attachment relationship is between spouses or partners. The job of that primary attachment relationship is the same across the lifespan. And that job is to provide a secure base, which you do by granting access and sensitivity. And so when that's not functioning, and okay, so those are the only 3 relationships that can fully function as a secure base, because if I try to get my attachment needs met from a buddy or a sibling or a coworker, I'm setting myself and the other person up for failure, because you can't healthfully be my secure base.
Sure.
Because if my needs come up to bat against Marley's needs, we'll say, who's going to lose?
Right.
I'm going to lose, right? I should lose. Even if we're good buddies, I should lose that because she is in the primary spot in your life. And so if I'm trying to get my secure base needs met from you, I'm going to end up feeling like I don't matter and I'm not safe, when really you're just running your life well.
That's fascinating, because it's not to say that social interaction and community are not needs. They absolutely are, but the primary spot.
Yes.
You try to replace that. I can look clearly back now when you're saying, you're like pulling me open. Fix me, Dr. Denim. But I'm looking backwards now and seeing these are things that happen subconsciously because it's your mapping.
Absolutely. We're not even until you're aware of it. It's under the surface, behind the curtain, puppeteering what we do once that system gets activated in the brain, and we're not even aware of it until you are aware of it. And then you say, you look under the hood and all of a sudden there's lots that you can do about it, but you're not even aware of it until then.
And you also talked about the 3 different, so there's different types of attachment styles, but then also independent, interdependent, codependent.
Yep.
And when we first started dating, we kept hearing this word codependent, and we didn't want to be codependent on each other because we realized that we had a pattern, or at least I can speak for myself. I certainly had a huge pattern of being codependent on other people, meaning I wanted the external validation from them because of my anxious attachment style. And we had a joint therapy session.
We didn't want a trauma bond, and we were aware of that. And so we started going to therapy individually and then also together to be like, convince us we shouldn't date.
Are we not codependent? Make sure that we're not codependent. What do we have to do to make sure we're not codependent?
You probably went in with that mindset. She probably went in with a different mindset.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, that's kind of the avoidant leaning versus the anxious leaning there. Yeah. What did you go into that therapy session looking for?
Well, the other thing that you brought up yesterday was that at first it took me a while to warm up to Stephen, because I was correlating healthy love with chaos, because my anxious attachment style was like, everything has to be in chaos. That's the only love that I know. And Stephen was not chaotic. He was very stable. So at first I didn't trust that this could be real.
It's too calm.
It was too calm. And then as we did start dating, it was like, well, now I want to make sure that that I can trust it and that it's not going to change. And how do I keep myself safe through it? So if we're going to make sure that we're not codependent, but also I want to be interdependent.
So because of this, that's why Marley and I actually wrote a list of reasons we should not date.
That was part of my
and that's what we brought to therapy, and we're like, this is why we think we shouldn't. We're poking holes in this very analytically. And he was like, nobody does this. He's like,
yes, avoidant people do that. That's exactly what avoidant people do.
I was the one that asked him to do it, though. I was please.
Okay, so really good. Finish your thought. Sorry.
No. It was just that was it. Yeah. He was like, look, no one really does this. I want you to make a list on why you should now.
I don't think we ever did. We just jumped right in.
Yeah. It's just funny to look backwards now and be like, you're that's exactly what's the underpinning.
Totally. So let me go back to the belief system of the avoidant. Coming back to those core needs, where the secure brain believes they're going to matter and expects availability and sensitivity. The avoidant brain believes just the opposite. They don't trust that they're going to matter. And they also don't trust or believe that they're going to be met with sensitivity and availability. And that happens when the pattern during those attachment cycles, those attachment moments, there's a pattern of insensitivity and or unavailability. And so then the code gets written, I'm not important enough. I'm not valued enough. They're too busy or whatever. And so I'm not going to, I don't trust that I'm going to matter. And I certainly have been taught that I'm not going to have access and sensitivity when I need it. So the avoidant brain then says, okay, so what do? I build walls. I don't let people in. I go analytical. I try to not need anybody. You go over to that independence side. So you've got independence, codependence, and interdependence, right? So the avoidant brain says, yeah, and we in our Western culture, we tend to kind of romanticize this. A lot of people think that the healthiest model is not needing anybody. And the degree to which I need somebody or I want somebody is weakness.
Which is garbage.
It's totally garbage. And we have mountains of research that shows how unhealthy that model is. But that's what the avoidant brain believes. And so they build walls. They're slow to warm up. But they still have the same needs that we all have to try to matter and to be safe. And so they end up in this middle ground that they'll hook up, or they'll have affairs. They do things. The avoidant brain tries to do things to keep people in this middle ground of like close enough, but not too close. And so when somebody starts to get too close, the avoidant brain starts to look for reasons to create space. They'll romanticize past relationships. They'll become hypercritical of the other person. They'll suddenly have lots of work that they need to do. But underneath it all, if you understand what's going on, what the brain is trying to do is to create reasons and justification to create space. My kids need me, whatever. And it happens very subconsciously. But then when the other person starts to get too far away, the avoidant brain is like, no,
Go away, come back,
completely leave me, right?
far.
And so then they go into this pursuit, and it can feel really good to be pursued by an avoidant person, because when the eye of Sauron is on you, it's intense, and so they show up, and they're oftentimes gifts. And
is that what they call love bombing?
Yes, it's part of that to get you back in, and then all this. But then when you get too close, again, it's like, but maybe I ought to lose a little weight, or maybe all the whatever the brain can think of to create some space. Really hard.
This explains so much of my dating life.
Yes,
because I was
me too.
I was always dating men that were emotionally unavailable, but also not just my dating life. It was friends. It was bosses.
All attachment.
I was attached to people who were avoidant. My anxious met avoidant.
Yes.
Interesting.
And then when I met you as someone who, okay, if you're anxious avoidant, but you were healthier.
I've been working on it a lot.
It wasn't chaotic enough for me to trust it, because the only thing I knew was love means chaos.
Right, exactly.
It means anxiety and always scorekeeping and understanding where I stand and having to manipulate to make and contort to make sure that I fit.
Right.
So then the exact opposite, then what is love to an avoidant then? Is it close, not too close?
Yes. Yeah. It's this, I want you around, when I want you around, but I don't want you disrupting my life.
Oh, man.
Oh, that explains like every boyfriend I've ever had.
Oh my gosh.
When I'm ready for you, I want to be able to take you off the shelf and go on a date with you or have sex with you or whatever. But don't try to get too involved in my life.
You were never that with me though. So what changed?
I'm just a very aware guy also, I guess.
I think so. I mean, and I don't know, we haven't spent a lot of time together, but my perception is that you were already in this process of trying to understand you, and to make changes in your life, and to try to, you were in this.
I was already hunting.
Yeah, in this crucible of this isn't working, and searching for answers. So even though you didn't have maybe a framework to understand why, you were already trying to do things, I think, that were making you and helping you be self-aware enough to keep some of this rule book in check.
Yeah, I was hell-bent on not repeating the divorce I was going through.
Yeah.
And so I was very analytical on why it was happening. And which you're also reading into, which we got another episode about your book, which is not about this. But
it's about that.
It is about that, though, right? Hyper analytical on not repeating, and I think that's why. Because I was like, nothing I was consciously doing was trying to get a bad relationship, but I was like, how do I not do what I don't know I did?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So let's talk about the anxious brain.
Don't get anxious as we tee it up.
Are you relying on me not being anxious for your happiness?
I'm inviting you to get very close to me right now.
There you go.
Are you codependent on me right now, not being anxious?
So the anxious brain gets wired based on the same beliefs. So the anxious brain also doesn't trust that they're going to matter to the people that they should. And they also don't trust that they're going to have access and that they're going to receive a sensitive response, just like the avoidant. But instead of coping with those beliefs by saying, therefore, I need to build walls and protect myself, the anxious brain says, therefore, I need to monitor constantly. And so there's this constant, you loved me yesterday. Do you love me today? You haven't called me for 15 minutes. How come? You wanted to have sex with me yesterday. Do you want to have sex with me today? So there's this constant reassurance. Do you know what object permanence is?
No.
Object permanence is something that we develop very early in life. But you know how with the little kid you can like say, peekaboo. Right, and every time you go like this, and then you go peekaboo, they're like holy crap!
They like re-find you.
Right, that's because they don't have
funny.
Object permanence. Object permanence is even though my bottle's right here. If I put it down here, even though you can't see it, you still know it's there because you have object permanence. The anxious brain doesn't have object permanence with mattering and safety.
Oh my gosh!
Whoa.
That's why they can ask questions like, are we okay? Do you still love me?
Right.
Are you mad at me? Am I in trouble? I realized that I lived a lot of my life worried about, am I in trouble?
Yes. Right. Because there's not that permanence around those two beliefs. And so it's, are you still there? Are you still there? Are you still there?
Yeah.
And so, that's how the anxious brain copes with that. And so if you go back to that cycle, for the avoidant, attachment moments break down right out of the gate. There's a disorganizing event, the attachment system gets turned on, and the avoidant brain says, there's no way I'm going to go turn to somebody. So I'm going to go inside. I'm going to go to myself. I'm going to distract. I'm going to go exercise. I'm going to be a hermit. Yeah. I'm going to go write. I'm going to do something so that I don't have to be dependent on anybody else. For the anxious brain, anxious people absolutely turn. Disorganizing event, attachment system's activated, and the anxious brain is like aggressively turning toward the attachment figure.
Multiple people?
Well, it depends. Depends, right? So they might start with who they should be starting, but instead of saying, "Hey, I've had kind of a rough day. Could we go get a Coke?" It's texting, 70 times and calling and saying, hey, you sent me to voicemail after 4 rings, and I called back and you sent me straight to voicemail. Is something wrong? Do you not care? A business trip becomes a major threat. Mm-hmm. And so the way that they turn, instead of inviting sensitivity and availability, they invite an unhealthy response because it's like, gosh, I was just in a meeting, I told you this morning that I loved you, and so the way that they seek invites an unhealthy response from the attachment figure, confirming their fear, right?
Mm. And the cycle continues.
Right.
That's a belief.
The other reason that it breaks down is that even when an anxious person receives a healthy response of sensitivity and availability, they don't trust it. That was just a fluke. Probably just caught him in a good moment.
Well, it's still that impermanence. It's going to change tomorrow.
Exactly. There's this constant looking in the...
And what do I got to do to make sure that it stays
Yes.
there? There's this like proving.
Right. Totally.
piece.
I need to be successful enough. I need to have enough money in my bank account. I need to have big enough boobs. I need to, whatever I need to do to prove that I'm a prize that you're going to want to keep around.
Wow. So it's funny because I'm listening to this and I'm like, all right, avoidant. Yep. Check. Anxious. Oh my gosh. Check. Like for me. And like it's slivers of both.
Yes.
You know?
And that's why I wanted to point out that it really comes from the same core beliefs. Right. It's the same core beliefs of not trusting that you're going to matter and not trusting that somebody's going to show up for you with sensitivity and availability. And so then your brain says, well, I'm not sure whether I ought to go avoidant.
It's a gamble.
Build walls, or should I monitor?
So it's funny you say that because it's funny since before we started talking about all this stuff, I thought just everyone was this way. But isn't that funny? You just don't know. You don't know awareness of that. But yeah, it is the emotional toll that it takes to figure out whether or not to run an avoidant track or or any of them, right? It's a huge emotional toll. And I feel it. Like even when he left last night, I was like, oh, that was outside of my
comfort zone.
Yeah. And I totally went a recluse. No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine because I'm aware of it now and I'm interested to know how to fix this.
Yeah.
I'm sure that people who watch or listen to this, they're like, I am identifying right now what track I run. Yeah. So I definitely want to get into how we fix it. But it's just, it's interesting to note the emotional toll that it takes as an anxious avoidant, because I'm not just running him. There is a piece in the back of my mind as you've been talking going, yeah, I do every time make a decision on whether or not to do one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's heavy every time.
And you can see, back to what we were talking about a little bit ago, Steve, that requires a certain amount of your capacity.
Oh, absolutely.
And sometimes it might be 10%, sometimes it might be 50%.
And if there's a lot going on in my life, it feels like 500%.
Right. And so then your brain's just trying to be okay. You mentioned last night, they're like, man, I feel a little disorganized a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And so then your brain has to cope with that.
Yeah.
And that leaves less of you to do everything else.
Yeah, I feel it literally robs me of what my potential is. Yeah. And I'm conscious of that only in the last 6 months. And I've become really frustrated with it where, I mean, even yesterday morning I was meditating. We hadn't met yet, right? And I suddenly realized it's like, how much of my time am I just literally trying to be okay? And it makes me feel like a wuss. Right. You know?
Yes.
And I'm like, what is this? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Boy, we could have a whole conversation about that as well. But yeah, I mean, this.
Do you want to cancel your flight? How much do you charge?
That
Mr.
would probably be an
Therapist
attachment
Doctor?
violation for the people that are waiting for me at home.
There we go.
Oh, that's a good answer. That seems like a secure attachment style right there. You set a boundary. So you're saying there are people that are just secure and they don't think like this. This has never been a problem for them.
Okay. So, yes, of course. It is human.
Yeah.
I have a secure attachment style. I expect to matter to the important people in my life, and I expect them to be there for me. That is the way my brain is wired, and because we are all human, and because we are all flawed and make mistakes, it gets screwed up, right? I mean, there are lots of times when if anybody should be good at this, it should be me. I have talked about and taught this literally for almost 30 years, and I screw it up all the time. I'm helping coach my boys' mountain bike team right now, my 14-year-old, and he's not been enjoying it. So he's doing better now. He wasn't enjoying it, and so there were like 2 or 3 weeks where every ride that we went on, he was like, another hill. The car's over there. Why are we going over here? Just this real negative attitude. And I totally lost it on him. I'm like, Will, this is not what we do. Our family motto is when the going gets tough, Slades get going.
Oh.
Something I value a lot. Anyway, I just laid into him, and I did not handle that attachment moment well at all. And that happens, right? I repaired. Later in the day, after I had blown it, I made a repair attempt. And I bring that up because this is not about being perfect. Nobody is perfect. No parent is perfect. No spouse is perfect. It's impossible. This is about pattern. What happens most of the time during these attachment moments? And the research shows that it needs to be about 85% of the time. If 85% of the time that I'm in need, I have access to you and you respond with sensitivity and availability, that's enough. That's a B. You can get a B and knock it out of the park with this. You do not have to be perfect.
Wow. That's fascinating. Yeah, I'm sitting here and recognizing, I don't know if this is true, so I'm making an assumption on this, but just connecting dots that, for a while, I really struggled heavily with just a ton of overbearing anxiety. But I can see now that making this decision between which track to run is actually probably been that. Because I've talked to others who are like, well, yeah, we all get anxious before we get on stage, and I always do a little bit. And that's normal.
That's normal.
Part of life. It's
right. That's normal emotional functioning.
But me flipping back and forth, always in the back of my head, nonstop for every decision that comes in my life. Like, wow, that actually might be the source of constant, never-ending analytical energy expenditure.
And,
right.
and underutilizing your primary attachment relationship.
Interesting.
Because again, what that is supposed to do is to take us, and this is back to your point too, what you're both talking about right now. So for the anxious brain, all of that chaos and that constant unsettlement, disorganization gets tied to what love is. And so then we think that to be in love means to feel chaotic, to be constantly wondering and the pursuit. And then we think, well, that's what it feels like to have chemistry with somebody. And that's what it feels like to want to be with somebody, is this constant monitoring. And so then when the attachment system is actually working, meaning that it's helping us go from that agitated state to an emotionally organized state, we think, oh, that's boring. Oh, maybe I don't like him.
Maybe there's no chemistry.
Maybe there's no chemistry here.
Yeah, if it's not toxic, if it's not chaotic, it's like, oh, we don't have chemistry because I need to fight. I need to have to prove myself and for it to feel hard.
And you just like me? What? You want to be with me all day?
I didn't do anything though.
Right.
What did I do to earn it?
Right.
Interesting.
And so it's really important to understand what love actually does feel like, and what that healthy attachment relationship is supposed to do for us emotionally.
This changes how I want to respond to people in my life, to the kids. Like if they turn to me yesterday, our 6-year-old age, walked in and her nose was bleeding. And I was like, no, the carpet. I mean, yeah, come here. Are you okay?
Right. Yeah. And I also have to circle back around and say, very much to Will's credit, he has really changed his attitude. And we're just the last bike ride that we were going on, he's like, man, Dad, look at how beautiful this is.
Aww.
And it was only 99 degrees because we live in St. George. The ride before that, when we started, it was like 108.
Oh man.
At least on my truck, it said 108. And he's like, this feels pretty good out here. I mean, so he responded really well to his credit, but I didn't handle that well. And there are lots of moments that I don't, but the pattern is what matters in that.
So I think 99% of humanity has no idea that this even exists. Or is really,
and isn't that sad? Isn't that sad?
Like I had a coach working with me and he's like, do you realize that majority of your actions are just programs? Like you're not making many decisions. So then once he said that, I was like, wow, he's right. I'm consciously just kind of in this rhythm, or subconsciously in this rhythm. What do people do to break it?
What do you do about it?
Yeah, how do you get back to I want to join the 50%?
Yeah, you want to be in the 1% on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's actually not super complicated, because the system isn't complicated, right? So there are 4 things that it is my job to do. So it's also super important to understand that in any relationship, it is first my primary job to get my needs met. It's not your job to pursue me into my cave, to coax me out of my hole and let me, make me or encourage me to allow you to be there for me. It is first my job to get my needs met by turning to you and giving you an opportunity to be there for me. It's my job.
Which is going to be a new pattern for an avoidant.
Absolutely. So my job during attachment moments is to vulnerably turn to my attachment figure, trust a healthy response when I get it, choose to be reorganized, and to be sensitive and available when you turn to me.
Wow. Is it the same for anxious?
That's it. That's it. That is what one's job is to do.
No matter if they're anxious or avoidant?
No matter what it is. That's what healthy is. Okay, so what healthy is my job is that.
So I have to trust, even with the object impermanence, they said they love me. I trust that they still love me. There's nothing that I did to lose it. And I still love myself. Because I'm sure there's like that is meeting the needs first.
Exactly.
Got it.
So your job to rewire that. So you've had an anxious attachment style. Your job to rewire that is to do what?
Turn to
when you're disorganized.
Yep.
Turn to Steve.
Let him be there for me.
When he is there, when you get a sensitive and available response.
Yep. I trust it.
Third,
and organize myself.
Choose to be organized, right? That both those second and third steps require a choice, right? So the anxious brain has to say, okay, no, I'm going to choose to trust this. Well, what if I get screwed? Well, what if later it changes? Well, what if it does? So here's the fact. If he's not willing to be in a healthy relationship with you,
I am, by the way.
Thank you.
But if he weren't, you don't want to be in this relationship.
But I couldn't understand that in previous relationships.
Right. But even at this point, and I think you're well on your way to having a healthy relationship, but even at this point, if he decided that he were not willing to be in a healthy relationship with you, this is not a place you want to be.
Of course. Yeah.
Sure.
Because as long as he is your secure base, as long as he's your primary attachment figure, as long as he's in that folder in your brain, he is your only healthy source for your attachment needs to be fully met. And if he's not willing to do that, that leaves you in a thirsty position with nowhere to get your needs adequately and healthfully met. So that understanding can empower the anxious brain to choose. You have to say, no, I don't want to keep feeling like this. I don't want to keep being in relationship after relationship with somebody that's not willing to be there for me. So I want to give myself a chance. And so which means I have to give him a chance. And so I'm going to choose to trust when he's available, when he's sensitive. I'm going to choose to trust that.
Well, it does, neural pathways, right? You more use them, it's like a deep rivet.
Exactly.
I'm assuming then as you make that conscious choice, after a while, it starts to become subconscious.
Exactly.
And delete the old one.
Yes. And we could actually show a little,
build object permanence.
Exactly. There's a cool little video. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Literally, if I raise your hand. So how could you do that?
A lot of connections, a lot of electricity.
Totally. Lots of pathways, right? Your neurons firing, muscles and all that stuff. And did you have to think about how to do that?
Not really.
Why?
Just done it a billion times.
Yeah. At this point in your life, you've done it hundreds of thousands of times. So those pathways are really well formed, right? If you had never done that before,
I'd be like, being like a baby, which is like a wiggler.
Totally. Yeah. And so literally the cool thing about the brain, neuroplasticity, we literally have the ability to rewire our brains.
Amazing.
Neurons that fire together, wire together. And we end up with these neurological highways in our brains. And so even though we have options, after a while, we don't even recognize that we do. We have, and pruning, the side roads literally die off. But you can say, no, there's actually an intersection here, and I'm going to force myself to turn left, even though I'm so used to going right. And at first, you might only catch 2 out of 10 times. But then you might catch 4. And then you might catch 6. And then you might catch 8. And pretty soon, left becomes the norm. And if we starve that old pathway, then it begins to get smaller and smaller, and eventually it prunes off. And you can see that actually happening physiologically in the brain, which is really cool.
Wow, that's amazing.
So the research shows that...
I love when you start sentences like that.
This is a credible moment. So
I am a doctor.
So the research shows that people that are trying to change their attachment style, about 25% of them do it over a 4-year period.
Wow.
We've been together for 4 years.
Yeah.
It's not an easy process, right? I mean, it's not something that just happens, but it is something that is happenable. It is something that is doable if you understand and you practice doing it. And so your job is those 4 things.
Love it.
And your job is those 4 things, right? And for the avoidant brain, it's the difficult part is right out of the gate, forcing yourself to turn and giving. So why would you want to do that?
To get to an organized place.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In a real way instead of a fictitious through other things that aren't
Pseudo.
fulfilling way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so funny as you've been saying this, I've been connecting backwards going, wow, okay, if the 3 primary ways are spouse or partner, it's the parents and God. I can look backwards and go, wow, when people say gain a stronger connection with God and trust God.
Your avoidant brain's like,
Well, even though that I try to, I just don't know what that means.
Yes.
Because I don't have that pattern.
Right.
I'm trying to trust God. I'm saying my prayers. I'm trying to do this. It's like, wow. And then with parents, just having a strong relationship there as well. It's interesting to see how quickly the floor did fall out to go full circle. When I was saying pre-2020 and the 20, it wasn't about all the scamdemic crap that was going on. Right. it was for me personally, it was the stuff that was, it fell out. All these primary things, don't know where to go, pull in, that I could put that in a bow that's what hermit meant. Yeah.
Pretty cool,
Fascinating. And so this is one of the 7 things you help people go through.
Yes. Before we go there, can I just say one more thing? I just want to say that this can be pretty hard when we first learn about this.
We didn't sleep very much.
Right. And it can be hard. It can be harsh to our parents because you don't get to choose how your attachment style gets wired. It happens before you have any conscious memory. And it can also be really harsh on yourself as a parent or a spouse. And so I just want to acknowledge that because nobody's perfect. And the reality is that even when we end up with an anxious or an avoidant attachment style because our parents didn't do it well, chances are really good that they were doing their best.
100%.
Chances are really good that they didn't know what they were doing.
They didn't
chances
know
are really good that
this theory.
We didn't know.
Right. Well, and if you're a single parent and you're trying to put food on the table and survive and you have to work 16 hours and I mean there are some things that just physically limit access, right? Even if I want to be. So I want to throw that compassion in there, and then
all the love and respect of the previous relationships. Grateful we're here.
Totally. 100%. And if you've screwed it up, or the degree to which you've screwed it up is reparable. Mm-hmm. It's literally never too late for this. And so I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Can I wrap this up with a fun game that I would like to propose? All right. So,
and I also feel like we should come back because there's 6 other topics I want to go through, plus your book.
Yes.
Plus
Well, yeah. So the healthy and happy principles, if you want me to say those really quick.
Right?
Yes. I'm pulling up the game that I've prepared.
So the first, you mentioned your relationship with yourself. If you want to be healthy, you've got to start being healthy yourself, because in a relationship, and we talked about this yesterday, there are 3 components, three entities that make up any relationship. You have each individual and the relationship. And the relationship will never be healthier than the 2 people that make it up.
That is good.
And so you have to start by being healthy yourself. And the first 4 principles of our Core Connections program are core, which is understanding your temperament and your personality, and then resource management, because most of us run our lives really poorly and don't have enough resources to be healthy in our lives and in our relationships. And then rewiring the brain, because attachment style is a core belief. It's one of many core beliefs. And when the degree to which our core beliefs are unhealthy messes up our lives. And so the third module, the third component of our program is helping identify those cognitive distortions and the unhealthy core beliefs, rewiring the brain. The fourth one is neurology made easy, because if your brain isn't physically healthy and working well, and you don't have healthy levels of neurotransmitters, you don't know how to stay in your window of tolerance, trauma, upper and lower brain. So those are the 4 things that we help with in terms of having your life go well. And then you're poised to be able to take the healthier you into relationships. And so then we talk about conflict resolution and attachment and healthy sexuality, because those things are imperative in order to have a healthy relationship. So
the first 4 are this foundation for just healthy.
Yes.
The next 3 are like, you want to be happy.
Yes. Yes. That's a good way to say it. I like that.
That's cool. It's like, and a lot of us want happiness without any foundation of healthy. I've never considered that happy may not be possible without healthy.
Right.
That's fascinating.
Yep.
Huh.
Which is why it's not, I call my program Healthy and Happy, not happy and healthy, because you have to be healthy in order to be happy.
That could be that's amazing. Cracking every code on us. Right? This is awesome. What's the game?
All right. What's the game, señorita?
So I have pulled up song lyrics that we are going to guess which attachment style they are.
Cool.
I feel like we're going to see this all the time in movies and in songs now.
Oh, yeah.
Like the lyrics that we hear. I was thinking about, there was that song by Eminem and Rihanna that I was like, this song is about abuse. I was singing it as a teenager. I had no idea. Like, this is actually really unhealthy.
Yes. My daughters went through Taylor Swift songs and categorized them as avoidant and anxious and secure. And we've done one. We did one little reaction video to one of her songs.
That's amazing. And
we need to do more.
Yeah.
But
okay, so I'm gonna read out the lyric, and you guys will tell me which attachment style it is. Oof. All right, I'll start with an easy one. Every breath you take, every move you make, I'll be watching you.
Creepy, first off.
Yeah, right?
That's not an attachment style.
That's criminal.
A new category. Yeah.
That is a stalker.
Anxious.
That is anxious. That is Every Breath You Take by the Police. All right.
It's a good song.
It's a great song, yeah. Okay, so how about I won't hesitate no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours.
Avoidant.
Okay.
I would say that was secure.
I won't hesitate no more.
Oh, no more.
Implies that I've been holding back and I'm going to stop holding back.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So that was I'm Yours by Jason Mraz.
But if you just got rid of the no more, then that would be secure.
Okay, well, how about this one? Count on Me by Bruno Mars. If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you.
So good.
Healthy.
Secure.
That's secure. That's very good. Okay, let's...
I'm going to go Bruno.
See if I can find another one.
Saved it at the last second.
All right. Stay by Rihanna. I mean, the lyric, the title of it might already. Not really sure how to feel about it. Something in the way you move makes me feel like I can't live without you.
Anxious codependent.
Yes. We didn't really, we could have talked more about codependency, but.
The next one. Okay. This one's by Katy Perry. I'll say the name of the title after because it seems to give it away. In another life, I would be your girl. We'd keep all our promises, be us against the world.
Stage 5 clinger.
Avoidant.
The title of the song is called "The One That Got Away."
Yeah, that's a
So. Rolling in
Steve,
the
you're a
deep.
little slower directing the avoidant part.
Rolling in the Deep by Adele. We could have had it all. Rolling in the deep. You had my heart inside of your hand, and you played it to the beat.
Avoidant.
Avoidant.
So mostly all avoidant.
Do you see that? So why is that avoidant?
Because it's keeping at an appropriate distance, but not too close.
Yeah. We had this chance. You wouldn't let me in.
All right, last one. Hotline Bling by Drake. You used to call me on my cell phone late night when you need my love. And I know when that hotline bling, that can only mean one thing.
I want you to rap that.
Yeah, that's funny in my head. That song stuck in your head forever.
What do you think?
Avoidant.
Yeah.
Drake focusing on the other person reaching out only when they need something.
Yeah.
Rather than mutual closeness.
Yep.
That's funny.
Yeah.
We're going to need to play this game more often. This is fun. I can totally see us watching movies now and being like, oh, that's...
Oh, totally.
Like The Notebook. The Notebook, what were their attachment styles?
I didn't see it.
What?
I haven't seen it either.
What?
It's a chick flick.
I don't mind chick flicks, but I don't like things that are sad. I've had enough sadness in my life. I don't need my entertainment to be
I'm
sad.
the same. I feel the same way about entertainment. Like, this is entertaining. I want to yeah.
Yeah, when I do something for entertainment, I want it to be I want to feel good.
Joy.
Yeah.
I don't want to be feeling sad, and
Healthy and
I'm
happy.
kind of a wimp when it comes to those things.
I love sad songs. Does this say anything about my attachment style that I like to feel the emotions deeply?
Feeling the emotions. Well, so sometimes we will use entertainment, songs, books, movies, those kinds of things to plug into feelings if we're not willing to plug into what's going on inside. And so we'll kind of do this pseudo, not always, I mean, but some people sometimes will do this kind of pseudo feeling through these other things because they don't want to go inside and look at what's going on there.
Is that an avoidant behavior then, where you're trying to fill a need with something that's
Can be.
fascinating?
Kind of cool, huh?
What's your book again? Just if you want to plug it.
Unlock your core potential, what you can and can't change about your personality. And so where, unlike attachment style, which is completely malleable, not easily malleable, but is changeable, temperament is not. Every single one of us is born with a temperament, again, been studied for decades, and temperament is not changeable. And so we spend and waste a lot of time hitting our heads against aspects of ourselves that don't move and feeling like we're broken because we don't know how to work with our strengths and our challenges. And so when you're in the business of change, understanding what is changeable and what's not changeable is super important. And that's one of the main reasons why I did the research I did on temperament, to help people be able to understand and appreciate the aspects of themselves that don't change and to learn how to work with them. And so that's where the book is.
You're like an emotional energy optimizer, because I can clearly look back when people say, just be who you are. I'm like, I don't really, what does that mean? You know?
Right,
and if
right.
you understand this about yourself,
Yes.
then you're like, I can own that, realizing it's most likely, it's not going to change, but work on the other parts.
Totally. And you can go too far on either extreme, right? There are some people that say, I'm powerless. There's nothing, I have no control in my life. I'm a victim to my life and circumstances. Incorrect. And there are people on the other end that say, everything's changeable and I'm in complete control. And that's also incorrect. Like most things, healthy's in the middle.
Wow. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Super fun.
This is amazing. Yeah. I can only imagine all the eyes that are about to be opened inwardly on.
Hopefully it's been helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. This is extremely powerful knowledge that, really, we just barely ran into, and we've been on this. Our relationship has a major basis of trying to figure out how to just improve. And we just barely found this. I think so. I think it's going to just help a ton of people. So thank you so much for your time.
You bet. Thank you.